The drive to Cabin 13 was filled with the harmonious laughter and banter of five friends, each eager for an escape from the daily grind. Nestled deep in the woods, the cabin stood isolated, its rugged exterior cloaked in a veil of tranquility. As they stepped out of the car, a chill ran through the air, igniting a spark of excitement among them. They dropped their bags with enthusiasm, ready to make memories that would last a lifetime. But as they entered the cabin, an unease swept over them, something ethereal whispering through the creaky floorboards. There was something off about the oppressive silence that surrounded them, yet they brushed it aside, attributing it to the secluded nature of their getaway. After all, who wouldn't feel a little out of place in a house surrounded by the expansive wilderness? Once inside, the friends began to explore their surroundings, their laughter ricocheting off the wood-paneled walls. But soon enough, their blissful state was interrupted by several dusty newspaper clippings scattered across a small dining table, a bizarre sight for a weekend retreat. Curiosity pulled them in, and they gathered around to sift through the yellowed pages, their eyes widening as they read about a gruesome murder that had occurred decades earlier within the very walls of Cabin 13. Articles spoke of an unsolved tragedy, rumors of a restless spirit lingering in the woods, and whispers of townsfolk warning travelers to steer clear. Despite the locals' ominous tales, the group chuckled nervously, dismissing the darkness with light-hearted jokes. They couldn't let a bit of history spoil their adventurous weekend. After all, who believed in ghosts? As night draped its shadow over the cabin, the atmosphere shifted. The warmth that had filled the room began to wane, replaced by a chilling draft that sent shivers down their spines. Strange sounds began to echo through the stillness. Unidentifiable creaks, soft whispers, and an almost rhythmic tapping that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The air thickened with tension. Every creak of the cabin felt like a warning, and suddenly, the shadows around them seemed to loom larger. With each soft thud and subtle rustle, their laughter faded, replaced by uneasy glances shared amongst friends who had once been fearless adventurers. They had come seeking laughter and adventure, but as the darkness deepened, an unsettling realization dawned upon them. They might not be alone in Cabin 13. What awaited them in the chilling night, in the heart of the woods, drew closer, and a gripping question lingered in the air. What truly lurked in the shadows? As the hours stretched into the early morning, unsettling disturbances began to blur the line between reality and the unknown. Murmurs echoed through the halls, voices that seemed to come from nowhere, yet resonated deeply within the very souls of the friends gathered in Cabin 13. Sleep became a luxury they could no longer afford. Night after night, they were jolted from their restless dreams by flashes of horrifying visions, ghastly figures, blood-stained walls, and the unmistakable sadness of a woman in torment. The air grew thick with dread, and the warmth of their earlier camaraderie faded like the flicker of a dying flame. It became evident that something was watching them, weaving a web of fear that would soon ensnare them all. Among the group, Emily found herself strangely captivated by the lingering story of the murdered victim. She felt an inexplicable bond forming, like a thread tethering her spirit to the tragedy that had unfolded within those walls. Each evening, she would lose herself in the details of the articles they had unearthed, the eerie, unsolved mystery resonating with her own struggles. With every forgotten whisper that echoed through the cabin, her connection deepened, igniting a spark that both exhilarated and terrified her. What began as simple curiosity morphed into an obsession, one that drew her further away from her friends and closer to a truth that simmered beneath the surface like a dormant volcano awaiting its moment to erupt. Paranoia took root among the group as the occurrences escalated. Cryptic messages began appearing, scrawled in random corners of the cabin, as if the very walls themselves had a story to share. Every creak and shadow ignited suspicion. Teasing whispers turned accusatory, and accusations slashed through the air like jagged knives. Once close friends now eyed each other with mistrust, questioning motives, whispering fears, feeling the chilling grip of isolation within their little bubble of dread. As the spirit of the tragic victim grew restless, so did their unity, erasing the lines between truth and paranoia. One pivotal question loomed overhead. Was their shared history strong enough to withstand the grip of the unknown, or was it already too late? The essence of survival began to twist their reflections, creating an uneasy tension that would leave viewers hanging on the edge of their seats, wondering who would emerge unscathed from Cabin 13. As the evening wore on, a storm began to brew outside. The once tranquil woods transformed into a frenzied tableau of howling winds and lashing rain. Thunder rumbled like a warning bell, plunging Cabin 13 into profound darkness. The flickering of candles would do little to ease the palpable tension beginning to coil around the friends, a harsh reminder of their predicament. It was in this shadowy gloom that the spirit of the murdered woman finally unleashed her wrath. Cold drafts swept through the cabin, moving objects with an unseen force, and hideous apparitions materialized, their ethereal forms twisting in anger. With each thunderous clash of lightning, her voice echoed, not in words, but in an unrelenting cry for justice that sent shivers racing down their spines. The atmosphere thickened as fear breached the surface of their already fraying bonds. Friends who had once laughed easily now stood at arms, turning on each other in an explosion of accusations and paranoia. Emily, who had felt an inexplicable tie to the spirit, was now seen by the others as an unwitting catalyst for the chaos that unfolded. Secrets simmered to the surface, unraveling years of friendship in a heated whirlwind of conflict. Each confrontation felt like stepping closer to the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath them cracking, threatening to consume them whole. The storm outside raged on, echoing the tempest within as chilling supernatural events intertwined with the very real struggles of trust and betrayal. No one felt safe, not from the storm that thrashed desperately at the cabin walls, nor from the spirit that sought to expose the truth behind its own tragic demise. As the night descended into a fever pitch, the friends faced revelations that cut deeper than the spectral phenomena around them. Whispers of past indiscretions echoed in their minds, manifesting physically through unexplained shadows and flickering lights. Each encounter grew more intense, revealing personal betrayals and buried secrets that struck like lightning, unforgiving and immediate. They realized that the vengeful spirit was not just a harbinger of the supernatural, but a mirror reflecting their own darkest truths, pushing them to confront the bonds they thought were unbreakable. The stakes rose dangerously high as the friends began to understand that they were not merely battling a ghostly force, but a darkness that lay intrinsic to their very relationships. As tensions mounted, the horrifying realization settled in. Survival meant facing not only the vengeance of the spirit, but also the demons of their own making in a fight that would determine not just their lives, but the fate of their friendship forever. As dawn broke outside, the storm finally eased, leaving behind a haunting calm that blanketed Cabin 13. With resignation and a flicker of determination igniting within them, the remaining friends gathered to piece together the last fragments of the mystery that had unraveled their lives. Each clue they had collected, the newspaper clippings, the hidden letters, and the cryptic messages, began to coalesce into a chilling narrative that hinted at betrayal lurking closer than they could have imagined. They stood in the heart of the cabin, its walls echoing the weight of the truth they needed to confront. With every whisper of enlightenment, the once supportive bond faltered under the scrutiny of honesty, urging them to embrace their fears instead of fleeing from them. In a tense atmosphere thick with unresolved emotions, the friends felt the spirit's presence grow even stronger, her desperation clinging to the air like a phantom. As they reached the climax of their revelations, the shocking truth emerged. One among them carried a dark secret, entwined with a murder that had ignited the unrest within the cabin. This unexpected twist fractured their fragile trust, sparking a visceral confrontation that captured the essence of genuine friendship. What does it take to forgive, and what price must be paid for betrayal? Shouts echoed, tempers flared, and the lines between friend and foe blurred. The spirit, sensing the internal struggle, grew restless, unleashing her fury on the group itself, and prompting a final showdown that would test their will to survive against the haunting shadows of their past. As the climax peaked, the friends realized that to defeat the vengeful spirit once and for all, they needed to face their truths collectively. They rallied together, confronting the dark heart of the cabin that had witnessed such sorrow and strife. In a breathtaking moment of unity, they spoke aloud the truths they had long buried, urging the spirit to listen, to release the chains of her own despair. The emotional depth of their plea reverberated through the walls, igniting a final burst of energy that delivered an unexpected outcome. As the spirit began to dissolve into soft whispers of forgiveness, the friends stood strong, forever altered by their experiences.